Here, we're looking at the D major scale. This is a 7-note scale. And to find these notes, we're going to analyze the C major scale, which will give us a formula which defines the spacing of the notes on a scale. We can then use that to find the notes of our D major scale. Here's how we proceed. On the staff, draw a G clef, and our start note is a C. Then write in the 7-note scale by alternating lines and spaces. C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. And find the start note on the piano keyboard. The C major scale has all white notes. So D, E, F, G, A, and B are the 7 notes of that scale. Now we're going to analyze this C major scale. If we're on a white note, the next available note is this black note, and that spacing is called a half step. Similarly, if we're on a black note, the next available note is a white note. The spacing towards the next available note is a half step. Also note that from a white note, in this case an E to an F, these are consecutive notes, next available note. Again, this would be a half step. So here's my formula that describes the spacing of these 7 notes. From a C to a D is 2 half steps, which is a whole step. I write a W. From a D to an E, 2 half steps, or a whole step. From an E to an F is a half step. From an F to a G is a whole step. From a G to an A is a whole step. From an A to a B is a whole step. And then if we continue these 7 notes to get another note to come back to our C, we would use a spacing of a half step. So our formula is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Here's a ukulele fretboard that's tuned in C6. This fretboard of 4 strings would be appropriate for a soprano, concert, and a tenor sized ukulele. And also the 4th string, I'm using the low G option for that string. The 3rd string open is a C. So follow my formula for the C major scale. It's whole step to a D, whole step to an E, half step to an F, whole step to a G, whole step to an A, whole step to a B, then half step to the C. On the staff, draw a G clef, and then the start note for D, and then write the next notes alternating lines and spaces. Then go to the piano keyboard, find your start note, and then use the formula of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step to find the next notes of the scale. So from D to the E is a whole step. Then from E to this note here is a whole step. To find the correct spelling for this note, go back to the notes on the staff and we find that that third note is an F, thus it must be F sharp. Put the sharp symbol in the key signature. Half step is here. Then we have whole step to an A, whole step to a B, and whole step to this note here, which is right here on the staff. So we see that the C must become a C sharp. Put that in the key signature. And then a half step would bring us to the first note of the next octave, where the D has been repeated again. On the ukulele, find the start note. So the third string open is a C, so here's a D, then a whole step to the E, and a whole step to the F sharp, but rather than playing it here, play it on the second string right here. Then a half step to the G, and a whole step to the A, and a whole step to the B, again playing that on the string above, which was the first string, and then a whole step to the C sharp, and a half step to the D. We found the notes of our D major scale by examining the C major scale to determine a formula for the correct spacing of the notes. We then went to the staff and placed our start note, and then the remaining notes of the scale by alternating lines and spaces. We went to the piano keyboard to find our start note, and then use the formula of whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step to find the correct notes for the scale. To determine the correct spelling of these notes, we went back to the staff to determine which note was sharped, and we put that sharp in the key signature. We did a similar thing with the ukulele by finding our start note and then using the formula to find the next notes, but keeping in mind that we can play a string higher so that the playing of the scale will be more effective.